consequences here today. Then he goes on to say, what is the background of the Nation of Islam in America? He says, when I first heard of Islam, it was in Detroit, Michigan, back in the early fall of 1930. Now, I'm going to close the book there. Now, I'm not going to say any names, but when you look and you really study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he's telling you when he first heard it, and he's telling you who he first heard it from. Now, it doesn't make me no difference who he first heard it from, but I think we need to stop all the arguing back and forth about who had it first and da-da-da. Let's focus on the result that we have now today. Because we can talk about who started it, but we got to talk about who finishing it. We got to talk about who carrying it out into practice today. That's what's most important. But I just want to point that out as we listen to his words, not somebody else speaking for him, but his own words. Look at this. When I first heard of Islam, this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking. It was in Detroit, Michigan, back in the early fall of 1931. And I heard that there was a man teaching Islam by the name of Mr. Wallace Farr. At the time, he used the initials W.D. Farr. That was in Detroit, Michigan. When I heard what was said, I wanted to meet him, and I finally did. When I met him, I looked at him, and it just came to me that this is the Son of Man that the Bible prophesied will come in the last days of the world, and I couldn't get that out of me. I shook hands with him and I said to him, you are the one that the Bible prophesied will come at the end of this world under the name Son of Man and under the name the second coming of Jesus. And so he looked at me a little stern, and then he smiled and put his head down beside my head, then whispered in my ear and said these words, yes, I am the one, but who knows that but yourself? You know, it's kind of like when they said, it's kind of like in the script, I think it was it Paul, y'all? When he says, who else knows that? Man, I gotta go. Can I go get it? Let me go get it. I want to get it so I can quote it right for y'all. I don't want to guess. Somebody said, only slaves follow. You following right now. You on, if you on Facebook, you a follower. You didn't create Facebook. You on Facebook because somebody else made. It was Peter, right? I said Paul. So he goes on to say, what about you? He asked, who do you say I am? Then Peter said, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by man, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock you will be. That's not what I don't think that's what I'm looking for. It might be what I'm looking for. It might be what I'm looking for, but I don't think it is. Let me see if this is the part right here I'm looking at. That might be it. Or was it right here in Mark? Oh, there you go. That's what I'm looking for. Here we go. It's Mark. It's right here in Mark. It's right here in Mark. Mark 8:29. But what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? Peter answered, you are the Messiah. You are the Messiah. Then look at what he goes on to say in Mark 8:30. Jesus warned him not to tell anyone about him. Another translation says, and he strictly charged them to tell no one about him. Basically, hey, don't tell nobody else. Don't tell nobody else. So now let's get on back to it. He patted his hand on my shoulder, gave me kind of a little shove away around him. There was more present, and he started talking to some of them. So he's talking about he's talking about the day now. He says about a month later, he told my wife to tell me to go ahead and start teaching out there in Hamtramck, Michigan. That's in Detroit. Hopefully I said that right. I was living in Hamtramck at the time. So he says to my wife, you tell him that he can go ahead because I had wrote him and he received my letter, and I was telling him what I could not tell him in the public. He said to me, you go ahead and start teaching and I will back you up. I started teaching that he was the answer to the prophecy of the coming of Jesus 2,000 years ago. I'm sorry, 2,000 years after Jesus' birth, and that this is the man at the time. And so I did begin teaching that the Son of Man, or the second coming of Jesus, is present. This is him now, here among us. He didn't allow me to go too far with that kind of teaching while he was present. He told me, you can do that after I'm gone. Don't talk too much about me. He said, give them a little milk. He said, give him a little milk. That's the way he talked all the time. He hardly never would say anything direct. He would give it to you in a way that you would have to learn just exactly what he meant by what he said. And so he said, you cannot give babies meat. I understood what he was referring to. And so he said, give that little baby milk. He said, when I am gone, then you can say whatever you want about me. I was not too much learned into scripture at that time, and I had not studied too much. Look at this. This is in 1931.